50 years ago today, Jaws was released into cinemas, and since this is one of the most influential films of all time and one of my personal favorites, I thought that it would be the perfect time to celebrate, or at least talk about, the Jaws franchise. Hi, my name's Zach, and today we are ranking all 4 of the Jaws films. If you're new here, I started this YouTube channel because I cannot watch a movie without needing to talk about it afterwards. And if that sounds like you're in the right place, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, while I'm talking, I want this to be a dialogue between you and me. So comment down below your thoughts on all of the 4 Jaws films. Give me your ranking. Give me your backstory. When did you first see Jaws? How long have you been watching Jaws? Is it one of your favorite films? Do you think it's overrated? Comment down below. Let me know all of your opinion. With all that out of the way, let's kick this off with number 4. Jaws the Revenge, one of the most baffling sequels ever made, where it feels like the people behind the camera went, what is the biggest departure of a story we could create that's furthest away from what the original Jaws was all about? So we've got a shark in here who is actively seeking revenge on the Brody family. And this movie is just so bonkers and crazy when it comes to its plot. It can be so bad that it's good, but the thing that really kills this movie of any kind of enjoyment for me is that it's played completely straight. Where the first part of this film, we see one of the death of the Brody brothers done by the shark's revenge, and so we've got a grieving mother for like the first act of this film with Ellen Brody crying over her dead son. It's very depressing. Then it transitions into a love story between Ellen and Michael Caine's character when they go to the Bahamas. Meanwhile, the shark is actively trying to kill them in the Bahamas. And the shark in this is the worst looking shark in the entire franchise. It looks so cheap. And when the shark is a part of the story, the attack scenes are edited to bits. It looks terrible. It's so choppy. You can't tell at all what's going on. And there's so many weird choices made within the story where they kind of allude that Ellen Brody has a psychic connection to the shark, where whenever the shark pops up somewhere else, they cut back to Ellen Brody looking out into the water as if she just had a spidey sense or a shark sense of what's occurring out in the wake. It's a horribly made film. It is terribly executed. The story is bonkers, makes no sense, but worst of all, it's dull and boring. For third place, I'm going with Jaws 2. And when it comes to Jaws 2, Jaws 2 is the most connected to the first Jaws, where not only do you have Roy Scheider back playing Brody, you've also got Murray Hamilton back playing the mayor. It takes place on Amity once again. There's even some background actors on the island that come back from the first film, so the feeling of Amity feels the same as the first film, and Roy Scheider still gives a good performance in Jaws 2. Even though he didn't want to be in Jaws 2, he was contractually obligated to appear in Jaws 2 because he backed out of another film for Universal. So in order to avoid getting sued, he had to do Jaws 2, and he commits. He still gives it his all in Jaws 2. But Jaws 2 is so derivative from the first film, where once again, Brody believes there's a shark. The mayor and everyone else wants to keep the beaches open. They don't want to admit that there's a shark. But because you've already seen that before and done better in Jaws 1, the impact of that, it just feels repetitive. It just feels lazy. On top of that, Jaws 2 takes more of a typical slasher trope approach to the story of Jaws, where you've got a bunch of teenagers trapped out on the ocean being terrorized by this shark. You don't really get to know them. You don't really care about any of them. They're just out there for shark bait, and Brody has to go and save them. They even make the shark more of a typical monster in this film, where they disfigure the shark very early on with a woman trying to protect herself from the shark by pouring gasoline all over herself and blowing herself up. which then causes half the face of the shark to be burned off, giving him a more monstrous look when he appears in the film. The shark doesn't look that great either. You can really see the downgrade from the first Jaws, and where the first Jaws really tried to hide the shark to keep the imagination alive in the viewer, Jaws 2 went the opposite direction. They decided to show the shark a lot more, and because they show it a lot more, the phoniness of the shark just sticks out a lot more. And the kills and the thrills here, they're lacking compared to the first one. Jaws 2 is watchable. I won't say that it's as bad as, say, Jaws the Revenge, but because it's so derivative of the first Jaws, it's just not that interesting to me. Even though it's nice to see some familiar faces and settings again. Which brings us to our runner-up, and for me, that's going to be Jaws 3 or Jaws 3D as it was originally released. And when it comes to Jaws 3D and Jaws 2, there's no significant jump happening here. In fact, I would argue that Jaws 2 is a better made film than Jaws 3D. But Jaws 3D, to me, is a more entertaining film than Jaws 2. Not only is it trying to do something new and different from the other Jaws films where it takes place in SeaWorld, the shark is in SeaWorld terrorizing the tourists, terrorizing the visitors. Doesn't take place on Amity Island. It completely changes the setting. We've got two Brody brothers that we're following, but for the most part, it gives us a whole new set of brand new characters. It really is only Jaws by the title on the movie, but I like that they tried to do something different, a little bit more fresh and interesting with the franchise in the third film. The 3D gimmick that they incorporate into Jaws 3, though, really does sink this film even further, where they tried to do a bunch of cheesy 3D effects throughout the entire film. So when the shark attacks and you get people being ripped apart, there'll be moments where they slowly fade in on a dismembered arm, and it's supposed to be coming at you in 3D, but because you don't have the 3D glasses nowadays, it just looks cheap and cheesy. The shark here as well, when they try to do the 3D effects with the shark, it looks horrendous. It's some of the worst looking effects in all of the Jaws films. And I feel like Jaws 3D is more entertaining to me because of those reasons. They're not good reasons. They're so bad they're good reasons that I just find this to be a more entertaining experience than Jaws 2. It's also a prototype for like what Jurassic Park and Jurassic World would later do, so it's kind of fun and interesting to look at it in that lens as well. It's by no means a great movie. It's by no means a good movie, but it's a movie that tried to do something different, which I appreciate, and is so funny in a lot of its execution of that. But of course, coming in first place is the original Jaws. That's why we're here. That's what we're celebrating. It's the 50th anniversary of this incredible film. Steven Spielberg took the best elements and ideas in the novel, condensed them down into a more straightforward narrative for this story. And because of a blessing in disguise where the shark malfunctioned and wasn't working as much, because in the original novel, the shark is featured a lot more and is supposed to be seen by the characters a lot more. Steven Spielberg had to adapt. He had to adjust to the situation in which he decided that you weren't going to see the shark very much at all. And that just created such tension and thrills in many of the sequences. But what really makes Jaws work for me is the characters. It is a shark movie, but at its core, it's about Brody. It's about Hooper. It's about Quint. It's about these three guys who otherwise would never have hung out or gotten together, but because their community is in danger, they set out on a heroic journey to kill the shark to protect their community. The pace on Jaws is some of the best pacing I've ever seen in movies, where the first part is very land-based. You're getting to know the community, you're getting to know the people, and they were very smart to allow residents of Martha's Vineyard to actually be in the movie, that they don't just feel like background actors. They bring the island of Amity to life, and you spend so much time with them in the first half of this film while the shark attacks are happening. You get on Brody's side instantly, that when the second half of the film takes you out to sea with the guys, you're rooting for them, you're behind them, and the thrills and scares that happen on the boat with the shark attacking them is that much greater and more enhanced because of all of the setup and attachment that they did in the first hour of the film. Jaws is a near perfect movie as far as I'm concerned. Even when you see the shark, the way that Steven Spielberg shot it, the way that he decided to frame the shark, it still looks really good to this day. It's easily the best looking shark in all of the franchise. They never were able to top it. None of the movies come close. Every single movie below on this list, there's a huge gap, a huge chasm between the sequels and the original Jaws. It easily comes in at number 1. It has been celebrated for 50 years. It'll be celebrated for 50 more. I absolutely love this movie. If you like content like this, I got more movie franchise rankings you can check up right up there. Down there is the most recently uploaded video to the channel. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't just watch movies, talk movies. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.